Teamwork makes the dream work. So a couple of weeks ago, my family and I went to iFly indoor skydiving for some indoor skydiving fun. Our whole experience was really great. And I couldn't help but notice an amazing teamwork that was showcased by the staff at iFly Zone. From a very well welcome at the front desk reception to flying instructors and chamber operators, it was clear that to deliver on the best experience possible for their customers, they have to work well together and establish great lines of verbal and nonverbal communication. So for example, the flying instructor and the chamber operator had to have constant communication, verbal and nonverbal, about the air pressure in the cabin. They were sending signals to each other about increasing or decreasing the air pressure. The flying instructor was also using sign language to communicate to customers what positions they needed to take while flying. It was such a smooth experience for everyone involved, and thinking about it now, in large part, I think it was due to an amazing teamwork illustrated by the team that was working at iFly Zone. Teamwork and collaboration has a lot of different aspects to it. So in today's video, what I'd like to do is focus on helping you set a solid foundation when you get the job first. So the first couple of weeks or perhaps your first month on the job, here are a couple of tips that will help you set a solid foundation in working with your boss and your peers. Let's start with your boss first. There are a couple of tips that I'd like to share that I think will be really helpful for you. Number one, maybe about a week into your job, ask your boss, how can we best work together? Establish a positive working relationship by learning your manager's leadership style and preferred method of working and communicating. So a good way to do that is actually ask, how would you like to work with me? What is the best way for me to communicate with you? Is it one-on-one meetings? Is it group meetings? Is it email? Knowing that will help you adapt to his or her leadership style. Number two, keep him or her in the loop. You have to communicate progress by providing him or her with status updates on your progress, get their input, ask for advice, and ask questions. This is your one-on-one, uninterrupted time with your boss. Now, if your boss doesn't welcome regular meetings, try to schedule them every other week or provide written reports via email. I actually found those written reports to be incredibly helpful. I would deliver written reports to my supervisors on a monthly basis, and I would ask my team members to submit their reports to me on a monthly basis also. The reason why I like those reports is not only for the purposes of keeping everyone up to date, but because as an employee, you will most likely have to go through either annual or semi-annual reviews. And in those reviews, it's such a pain to have to remember everything you've done and everything you accomplished in the last 6 months or a year. And having a written reference on a monthly basis will help you zoom through them really quickly. Now, when you do have your meetings with your bosses or in your written reports, there are 3 questions that you need to answer. What have you been working on? What have you finished and what the results have been? And the last one, very important, what can you help your supervisor with? Ask the question always, and your meetings always, what can you help them with? Because it helps them feel like you're engaged and part of a team. Tip number 3, know your boss's goals and objectives and make them your own. You have to align your work with how and what you are working on helps your boss achieve his or her company goals. It is absolutely crucial that you understand how your work is fitting a bigger picture. Your boss's goals and objectives are most likely tied to company's mission. So knowing them and being aligned with them helps you focus and prioritize your work also on the important stuff. This is really important. So the first couple of weeks on the job, make sure to find out what your boss's goals and objectives are. Now, tip number 4 and the final one, if you see a problem in the process, in something that you've identified as an issue perhaps in the department, bring that up, but also make sure that you always have a potential solution to present. If you just come back with just a simple problem without a potential solution, you position yourselves as someone who is only there to complain, and you don't want that to happen. You definitely want to be able to identify problems and present solutions. The combination of 2 is critical to being able to establish great working relationship with your teammates and your supervisors. We've talked about how to establish great working relationship with your boss. Now let's talk about how to do the same in working with your peers, whether it's within your department or cross-departmental. I have have some tips I'd like to share with you. So tip number one, spend time getting to know people. You know, one of the biggest mistakes I've made early on in my career, it was that I literally was glued to my computer the whole time. I was working, not taking any breaks. It's important to get to know people beyond the job responsibilities that they have. So spend some time socializing and getting to know people. Tip number two, actively listen. Don't listen to respond, listen to understand. In many corporate meetings, in meetings in general, way too often I observe how people have something that they want to get out and they just completely forget to listen to what's going on in the room. Make notes during the meetings. Understand where everyone is coming from. Understand the dynamics of the group before you respond or before you speak. Tip number three, keep your team informed of the progress you're making on your projects, especially if it has a direct impact on their own work. Don't wait for them to hear about it from others. Tip number five, collaboration versus ownership. This is really important. In teamworks, especially in good working teamworks, everyone is contributing and everyone is working, but it also is very important to make sure that there is ownership assigned to people to avoid any misunderstanding. So when you're collaborating with others, make sure you understand at the end of the meeting who is responsible for what, who is responsible for delivering certain projects of the job, and most importantly, what your responsibilities are as part of that project. Teamwork is a great thing, but ownership is really important in delivering successful results for your company and for your team. So we just talked about how to establish great working relationship with your peers and your bosses when you're new to your job. Remember, on the website we have a toolkit section and there are tons of exercises that you can use to understand and help you bring to life all of the concepts that we've talked today. Hope you enjoy them. And remember, teamwork makes the dream work. Many years ago, when Amazon wasn't what it is today, Jeff was actually one of the people that was helping package all the packages in the warehouse. And on one particular night, he was there with his fellow friend and employee, and it was a really long day. They were getting really tired. They were packaging those packages the entire day on their knees. And finally, Jeff said, "Man, my knees really hurt. We should get some knee pads." His friend looked at him and went, "No, Jeff, what we need to do is get some packing tables." Jeff laughed at that story for a very long time. They got the packing tables and their business was never the same. The heart of the story is that no matter how successful and how smart you are, you need to surround yourself with people. And you need to be able to collaborate with others, brainstorm ideas, and set yourself up for success. Because one mind is great, but two minds are so much better.